Hey guys, welcome to this tutorial, and in this one I'm going to show you how to create some quick lower thirds graphics using Premiere Pro only. Let's have a look at our clip. So this is the intro, and this is where I want the lower thirds graphic to start appearing. So let's begin. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click my media library over here and create a new item, and this item will be a color matte, and the default settings will be those of your sequence, and in my case it's a 4K sequence. So I'm just going to click OK, and I'm going to select the color black and click OK again. Then we can give it a name, and I'm just going to call it color matte black. And now it will appear in our project library. And the next thing I'm going to do is drag this color matte onto our timeline, and I'm going to place it where I want it to start appearing, like this. And I don't know for how long I want it to be, but let's just say that this seems like just about a good time. This is around 7 seconds, but we want to resize this. So we're going to add a crop effect. We're going to the effects tab and type in crop, hit enter. And then we're going to drag the crop effect onto our color matte. And from there on out, we're going to the effect controls while making sure the color matte clip is still selected in our timeline. And then we will click the crop text over here. This will give us these handlebars, and we can now resize our color matte. And I'm just going to do it like so, because I want the name to appear here. And then I'm just going to click some place random in the timeline and look it over, and there we have it. A quick lower thirds that is quite simple, but let's animate it as well. So the next thing we will do is add a push effect. So let's go to the effects tab, type in push, hit enter, and then drag the effect onto our clip. So now the color matte will slide in like so. So this might be a bit slow, so I'm going to speed it up. And to do that, I'm simply going to drag the transition effect here, like this, and I'm going to review it. That looks way better. All right. And when it exits, I also want it to push. So I'm just going to drag the push effect and shorten the duration like this. And you can now see that it's actually exiting in the wrong direction. So I'm going to click the push effect in the timeline like so, go to effect controls, and then I'm going to change the direction like this. And now when we play it back, it will exit the right way. The next thing we're going to do is to add a small icon, and I've already selected an icon, and it's the resolve icon, but I just thought it looked pretty for this tutorial, so I'm using that. And I dragged it to the timeline, and you can see it's now in the completely wrong location. So I'm just going to drag this further ahead, maybe a bit more, like so, and now it appears at the right time at least. And then I'm going to stretch my clip out so it's just as long as the main clip. The next thing I'm going to do is go to the effect controls tab, click the motion, and then I'm going to drag it down here. And I'm also going to scale it down, maybe a bit more, like so, and put it right here. And let's review it. There we go. So it appears pretty simple. All right, the next thing we're going to do is to animate this icon, just like I do in my own intro to this movie. So what we're going to do is click the icon clip on the timeline, and then we're going to hit the rotation button. I'm just going to stretch this out a bit. So we want to animate the rotation, so I'm going to go like maybe around here on the timeline and hit the toggle animation button like so. So now we put down a keyframe, and this is the keyframe that tells us that at this moment in time, this particular clip on the timeline will be rotated by 0.0%. That means it will be normal. So now I'm going to go to the beginning of the timeline, and I'm just going to rotate it slightly like so maybe. And then I'm going to play this back. Let's have a look. There we go. So now it rotates when it comes in. And you can see that by rotating it at the end of the timeline, we actually created another keyframe right down here. So the first keyframe tells us that the rotation should be at minus 64 degrees. And the next keyframe tells us that in this point in time, the rotation should be 0.0 degrees. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a cross dissolve effect. Like so, just typing in cross. This should work. And then I'm going to drag this onto our icon clip. And now it slowly fades in while rotating. Like so. And I will show you another way of animating this as well. So let's add a text effect. And to do this, I'm simply going to select the text tool right here. And then I'm going to click on the viewfinder like so. And you can see another track has been made and a graphic clip has been placed on the timeline. And to begin with, I'm just going to stretch this out as long as the other clips and maybe put it right here. And this is where I'm going to type in the host's name. Let's call him Jack Johnson, like so. And I can select the selection tool and move this around if I want to. And I can also go to the effect controls and click the little expand button near the text. And then I can select a new font if I want to. I can just type in Lato and then select Lato Light. I really like that one. And I can increase the size if I want to. And we can reposition this afterwards. Alright, so I think this looks pretty good. So I'm just going to select the selection tool again and drag the text down until it looks just about right. Alright, this is much better. And let's have this fade in as well. So I'm going to the effect controls tabs, and then I'm going to drag in the cross dissolve onto my clip on the timeline, like so. And let's review it. There we go. There is our lower thirds almost done. So maybe we want to take this color matte and just decrease its opacity a bit to make it a bit transparent. So I'm going to select the clip on my timeline, go to the effect controls tab, and then I'm going to detoggle the opacity animation. And then I'm going to drag it down a bit, maybe to like 95%. That looks fine. And then I'm going to review my clip again. There we have it. Now let's add a push effect to the end of these other two clips as well. So I'm going to the effect tabs. I'm going to type in push, hit enter, drag the effect to the end of our clip and to the end of this second clip on our timeline. And I'm going to adjust the length like so of the transition. And I'm also going to adjust the direction in which it will fly out, so it's uniform, like so. And the next clip, and like so. So now everything flies out in the same direction. So let's review it one more time. That looks pretty cool. You can see his name, and then it pushes out. Let's add a last twist to this, just so we can practice our keyframes a bit more. So let's have the color matte actually not only push in, but also fade in at the same time. And as we can only add one transition per clip, that means we have to keyframe by hand the opacity slider. So let's put our timeline right when the push is done, and then we will go to the effect controls tab and hit the animation button like so. That places a keyframe on the timeline that tells us that at this point in time this clip must be 95% transparent. Then I'm going to go to the start of the clip, and I'm going to drag this number all the way down to 0, and let's review the result. You see it? Now it actually fades in slowly. A little nice touch that just make it look a bit cooler. So just like we did on the icon and the text, it all fades in, but the black bar has a additional component that pushes it in as well. Let's review it one more time. That looks pretty great to me, to be honest. And this is an easy way where you can create your own lower thirds graphics and easily edit it right within Premiere. The only thing you need to do is to find some graphics or make your own for the icon, or even just use text by itself.